How's it going, everybody? For the ethics in the workplace assignment, I'm going to be talking about integrity and honesty. Um, Goes a long way in your professional career, um, and how valued you are in your workplace if you show a great amount of integrity and honesty when you're working. The case study that I kind of wanted to look into today, when talking about these topics, is about Eddie Gallagher. Now, some people might not know who he is. He was a former Navy SEAL. Now he's retired in 2019. He was on Team 7 when he was accused of war crimes, for stabbing an ISIS fighter that they had killed. He was accused for stabbing him multiple times while they were supposed to be rendering aid, which is a Geneva Convention war crime. Um, so he was accused of these crimes from three fellow teammates, um, that were there with him. Um, it all got brought up when he took a picture, as many guys do, with this dead ISIS fighter on the ground. Um, and I'm not saying that it's right, but it happened. So he was accused of war crimes of stabbing this individual. Now the that's kind of, in the past. I guess I'll say not quite related to what I want to talk about. Just a little bit of background information. So now, what really had happened with that is there were some individuals that had a personal misunderstanding, and personal conflict with Eddie and how he was running his team. They didn't like the tactics that they were using. Um, they kind of didn't like him as a person. They didn't really respect his authority, so they were undermining him at every chance they had got. Um, so, with that being said, not many people know this, but that dead ISIS fighter, was they were rendering aid, and Eddie is a former corpsman. When he first joined the Navy, he went green, which means he went into the Marine Corps side. And a corpsman, for those of you who don't know, is like pretty much like a combat medic. So he was helping rendering aid to this dead ISIS fighter, by what's called criking. Um, a crike is a medical instrument. So when your airway is restricted, they basically put it down your throat, and it's basically a tube, and then they can force breathing, and you to keep the person alive after one of their lungs collapse or something like that. So, what had happened was Eddie went over after they had criked this guy, and you could kind of tell that this guy was dead at this point. At least that's what Eddie had said. So he took out his knife and gently poked him in several parts on his body, in the neck, in the cheek, in the arm, in the leg, to see if this guy would get a reaction, any kind of movement. When you're poked, excuse me, with a pointy object, you kind of have a reaction. Now he wasn't drawing any blood or anything of that nature. He just wanted to get a reaction to see if this individual was still alive, which he wasn't at that point. The part that I really want to go into now is what happened afterwards when he was accused of war crimes, and how this kind of relates into the workplace. Um, so he was accused when he had gotten back. These individuals had already brought up several really minor complaints. Eddie stealing a Red Bull, and they just had a real hardcore personal feud with Eddie that interrupted their working environment and how they were doing. And at that level and what you're doing, I mean, it's warfare. There are greater consequences than you getting fired or docked a little bit of pay or something like that. I mean, it's life and death out there. So having personal feuds when you're trying to work, it it kind of creates an unnecessary imbalance in what you're trying to do and what tasks you're trying to accomplish. So when they finally did get a hearing for the court date of Eddie Gallagher, the evidence that they had brought forward wasn't really anything of value. It proved nothing of him actually doing this, just the words and the testimony of these three individuals, two of which only took the stand. The accusers, they'd fumbled around their stories. They'd tried to make certain hardcore talking points, and when they got put on the stand, you could pretty much tell, um, that they were just lying, hardcore lying. They had let their personal feud get in the way of the integrity of the entire Navy at this point, just because they didn't like Eddie Gallagher for who he was. Which, I mean, you're not going to get along with everybody in your workplace, but you need to understand that you're here to do work. You're not here like everybody that you work with, you have a job to do, get the job done, and then once you're done with work, you can go hang out with whoever you want to and whoever you don't want to. So with that being said, them putting the integrity of the entire Navy over a personal feud kind of violates everything that you would think a Navy SEAL is supposed to stand for. Um, Integrity and honesty are qualities, you would assume every guy in the SEALs, let alone every guy in the military, or excuse me, men and women in the military to have under their belt. But unfortunately, that's just not true. I mean, the military is just a job at the end of the day, um, and they're just regular people, so they have their own battles that they're fighting. Everybody makes mistakes at that point, but letting your integrity and your evaluation from peers get in the way of the job at hand kind of can really play a large part in how you conduct yourself in the workplace, and how others perceive you in the workplace. If they don't think you're an honest and trustworthy individual, they're not going to really hang out with you. They're not going to trust you with promotion or giving you any kind of responsibility to get a larger job done within the workplace, so that you're just hurting yourself in your career at that point. Um, a lot of thing that people, a lot of things that people don't realize with this case is everybody had heard what these guys had said, but nobody saw any facts. It was just hearsay. It's just, guys kind of talking. It's, one person talking over another. Um, Another thing that we can relate back to the workplace with that aspect is people trusting rumors over facts. There's a lot of gossip and hearsay that goes on in the workplace that people, just trust blindly. They hear it and they think it's already facts and, reviewed, when that's hardly ever the case, which we can clearly see in the Eddie Gallagher trials. When you did start to look at the actual facts, as President Trump and his legal teams did, there's a reason why he pardoned him. And it's because you could tell with all of the testimonies and pretrial stuff that had gone on with the Navy not letting Eddie prepare himself for the trial, with the guys just straight up lying and changing their stories every couple of months just so they could hurt Eddie's career even further. It's pretty clear to see that people were trusting rumors over facts, which is kind of sad to see, especially in the naval special warfare kind of setting. People a lot of times are going to do what's going to help their career and what's going to save their own behind, if you will, over what's doing or what you would do, which is morally right and full of integrity. Because it's a lot harder to stand up for something you believe in, especially when other people are telling you, that that's not true, or you should be going a different way. So relating that back to like the workplace, you can kind of see that, if there's a call being made in the boardroom about going in a certain direction with the company or what they should be doing with their social media status, and you say, hey, that's not going to fly, that's not going to work, we shouldn't be on this kind of platform saying that kind of message because it's the wrong message, we need to be doing this. It takes a large gut feeling and a lot of trust in your own ambitions and who you are as a person to make that kind of call, and it's not something that a lot of people can do and do effectively. So trusting your own self and what integrity you have, what morals and what beliefs you have is vital to your workplace career. At the end of the day, Eddie Gallagher, when they did hit trial, obviously was acquitted of everything that he was being tried for, except for one minor thing, which was like 28th on the list of convictions that he was under, which was really, really no threat. He got some feedback for posing for that picture, which is fair. He shouldn't have done that, but it happened. But you think of it in terms of him being he was also accused of obviously murdering and stabbing that ISIS fighter they were supposed to be rendering aid to, but the accusers also tried to convict him of killing an old man and a young girl who wasn't even a teenager yet. They accused him of both of those things, which definitely are not true. As far as integrity and honesty in the workplace, I think it's pretty clear that it isn't always the easiest thing to do, but doing what's right and what's easy are hardly ever the same thing. So putting putting your morals and your beliefs first should kind of be at the top of your list when working in the workplace, and that's something that I'm going to take forward. Thank you.